This podcast is not rated. Listener discretion advised. Mission to City.
This one, oh my God, Jesus Christ. I'm just going to call this one sad anime.
Accurate.
That's about it. I think, you know what? You say that, I think everybody's going to know what you're talking about.
About. Quite possibly the most sad.
It's light outside for me. It's great.
Oh,
I
is
have
this
window
new?
light.
I guess we
wow.
usually do start a little later than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an hour later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be good for going into this podcast. Isn't that right, John? A little light on the situation?
Yeah.
It's hard to make light on this situation.
Little
It
daylight.
is. Spoilers. How about we start there?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
First, what are we watching?
Well, spoilers.
What is this?
Yeah.
What is
Grave of
this?
the- Grave
Is
of
this
the
a
Fireflies.
podcast? Or what
This
is
is a podcast. We watch
Welcome to the
movies.
podcast.
This is Grave of Fireflies. Spoilers. If you haven't
you
seen
should
or heard
go
of this
see
movie, don't read about it because I think there will
Yes.
be spoilers. I think it's kind of well known what happens in this movie if you are, I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty much well known as in the first 10 minutes, you know exactly where the movie's
Well,
going to
yes.
go.
Kind of,
It
yeah.
is. It is very sad. So brace yourself. It could be if you're not prepared for it, and I don't know.
Why did they make this movie?
You're
It's
like
sad, but it's
jogging on
good,
the
right?
treadmill watching it. You could.
Is that a good
hurt yourself.
question?
I would recommend
feel
this
like that's a
movie
good
real
question.
quick. Let's do this
Yep.
go around thing before we get into spoiler stuff. I'd totally recommend this movie to people that like anime and can tolerate sad things.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
No?
Okay.
I mean, was it that like? It's like when you go to a pizza place you've never been, and it like looks real good, and then you taste the pizza, and you're like, "There's nothing to write home about." I mean, like that's kind of what I got out of this one.
Okay.
Okay.
It was like,
well,
I mean,
Well, that's
yeah.
good. That's actually good. That's good that we
a
won't
little
be
contrast.
well, yeah, and
Yeah,
also just
yeah,
not,
I just
not,
don't know
not
if it's
the
like
tone
something
I
I
think
would-
we're gonna have.
Yeah, and it's just not something I think I would like. Be like, dude, this anime is you got to see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe.
I'm never going to watch it again.
It's not like the highest quality production ever or anything.
Right.
That is
yeah.
true.
it's, nothing to write home about.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that to an extent.
Oh, really? Oh, well, this could be a good one.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
All
Grave
right,
of
so we're watching
Fireflies.
Grave of Fireflies. It was made in 1988. It was directed by Isao Takahata. This is the only non-Miyazaki movie on the list that's a Studio Ghibli movie. It's actually the only movie that wasn't like procured by Disney when they bought out all the Ghibli movies because it was like licensed by the person who wrote the book. This is based on a true story by somebody who survived, and this is a spoiler territory, actually had his little sister die due to malnutrition after World War II. So he wrote it, based on...
Oh, so that's why he wrote.
That's
okay,
why he
now
wrote
that
it.
makes more sense.
And
I mean,
that's-
like, this seems like such a random story to
Yeah.
just like come up with. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things I did when I first watched this movie, which was a little while ago. I've only watched it twice. I wasn't planning on watching it twice. This is the kind of movie you only really need to watch once or would want to watch once.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that was one of the questions I had. Is this a true story? If it's not, fuck this movie. But it is a true story.
That changes everything.
Yeah. So
Right.
it's just a horrible, miserable story.
Have you read the book too?
I have
or the
not.
short story. Okay,
No.
well, I got that for the book corner. Day.
Nice. I was hoping you were
So-
going to do that.
No.
But I think this movie, even though it has some flaws, like a lot of them can be explained away. And this time, my question coming out of it, the one criticism I had this time, and this is, coming before I just like talk really positively on it. The one criticism coming out of this time is I was annoyed that the older brother left the aunt's house and didn't go back, even though his little sister was dying. That really frustrated me. And I tried to explain it away, being like, well, he is young, so maybe he's just stupid. But at the same time, I was like, dude, it's your fucking sister. Take care of her. You're killing her,
I think he's also
Yeah.
stupid, though. I don't think he realizes that you can't just eat pumpkins and
He's
rice.
young. They're both young, and they were really shamed into leaving. I mean, it was, I don't know.
I mean, that lady was an ass.
right. So I
Right.
mean,
Well, so the difference there is that when this film like screened to Japanese audiences, people understood that reaction to that situation is understandable because that's how the culture works. But like to Western audiences, my reaction is typical because that's how our culture
oh,
goes.
she's
Right.
fucking
I see.
dying here.
Yeah.
You gotta let me in the
she's fucking
fucking house.
dying.
You gotta talk to me. Don't care.
Right.
Here,
So-
give me more of that rice.
Yeah.
So that
But the
explains
rice
away my
wouldn't
only
have even
criticism.
saved her, though. The rice wouldn't have been enough. She
No,
needed,
no,
like,
but
He was doing
iron.
fine. He was bigger.
Right?
I guess kids need more food than adults. I don't know.
He wasn't doing great either.
yeah, I don't
mean,
know.
she's probably younger and more frail is all too.
Yeah.
And maybe was
So essentially, basically for people that haven't seen this, the whole movie starts with like two kind of healthy kids. And then all that happens is that one of them really both of them just get it completely sick, malnutrition. And
This is
one
after
of
their
them dies.
parents die after fire bombings.
And after their parents die, dad's dead, mom's dead, nobody's alive. There's just some batty old grandmother that hates him.
Well, to be honest, all right, so let's go
you know.
through. First 5 minutes, the kid is dead. Well, actually, the first 5 seconds, the guy says,
The first
I'm
5
gonna
seconds, we know
die.
he dies.
Yeah.
We know
You know
he
the
dies.
older
we see
kid
the
dies.
brother. Yeah, we
Yeah.
see him.
But
see
we
him
know that the
dying
young one
homeless.
pretty much dies
'Cause you
too
see her
because
ghost.
they're in both ghosts.
Yeah,
right.
they're both ghosts. That's true.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
right. So, like, all I remember is because before we watch this, for everyone's context, Denny and John were like, this is a sad one. You're gonna be like, you should like prepare yourself. Don't watch this on like a happy
overhyped on the
day.
sadness.
Yeah. So, but no, the point is, within the first 5 minutes, I go, shit, they're already right. Like I didn't even make it through 10 minutes before I was like, fuck, I can see where this one's going. And I was right. I mean, literally, they start you off and it's the end. 'Cause he's dead.
Yep.
So then it's just going back through all of the, things that led up to
The
him dying.
horrible things.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely horrible things that happen
So it
to
is
these
a
two
sad
kids.
one.
Yeah. And there are some parts that are kind of more tedious, but I would kind of chalk up those tedious parts of like everyday mundane type of lives to the same kinds of criticisms we had for Tokyo Story, where it's like doing the mundane things like washing dishes or like cleaning up or getting yelled at from your aunt adds to the realism to the movie. This movie has like one of the best settings in an anime movie I think I've ever seen. Like halfway through the movie, I had just thoughts to myself, like, I am forgetting this is an anime movie because these characters seem so real. The animation seems so real. The backgrounds and like the geography even like of the way
the sense
it's
of
set up.
space.
Yeah. Like where the town is, where the bomb shelter is. It could have been a live action movie. There's nothing really fantastical in it. And
besides the Fireflies, you're right.
Besides the
Because
Fireflies,
everything else is really actual, very realistic.
Yeah.
In comparison to some of the other ones we've watched, for sure.
And some of
I see what you're
the
saying.
moments are like very non-anime, non-cartoon, where the music just cuts out and it just has like one of the dudes like quietly crying to himself, sort of thing. And just the quieter moments of this movie really stand out because I think the first time I watched it, I was like they seem a little bit tedious to watch, but I think it's meant to be tedious because for me at the end, when they put on the record, when the little girl dies and he starts like remembering her running around the bomb shelter and shit, and she keeps fading in and out, I was fucking crying so hard during that. And I have already seen this movie before, and I don't cry in movies very frequently.
He cried. Look
I
at
cried,
this,
dude.
John.
I couldn't stop myself from crying.
Note this.
Yeah.
I
Note
was
this.
bawling, and I looked at the
Danny was
list.
This is a
crying.
crier.
I looked at the
Yeah.
list. The last time I cried at any of these movies was
Oh, he keeps track.
was a long time ago.
That's great.
It was
Got a
like
spreadsheet.
it was Inside
Yeah.
Out, which is over 50 movies ago, and these are
Oh,
supposed
wow.
to be the best movies ever made.
He's got a spreadsheet everywhere that says cry.
It was
Don't
Bing
cry.
Bong, right? I
Check.
remember
It was
making
Bing
fun of you for
Bong. I cried
crying
at
because of
Bing
Bing Bong. Wow, this is heavier than Bing Bong, huh, Danny?
Oh, this is a
Wow.
fucking 4-year-old girl fucking
I
starving
did
to
not
death.
cry. I have to say.
Oh, I was so
I did not
freaking
cry.
sad.
I got a little sad. I got like, oh, I did more of the like, oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And this movie also is kind of, you could at face value say like, well, they killed a nice 4-year-old girl. Of course you're going to be fucking sad. But I didn't really have that reaction. I don't know why.
It's not a puppy kicking thing, or like it's just easy
Isn't
to
it,
make
though?
it sad.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It
I
kinda
will
is.
explain.
Yeah. So I mean, even though that's the case, and I do criticize this type of thing a lot, I think just the way this movie does it, the way it does it in such a serious way, and like that it's based on a true story, that it tries to make it as realistic as possible, even though it's a cartoon.
Mhm.
And I think they put a lot of hard work into making the animation look good. I think they thought a lot about framing it like a real movie, like a real slow, dramatic movie.
I think they
Yeah.
put the other
Yeah.
hard work is not rubbing your face in this stuff. That's where it's not like puppy kicking easy. It's like they're trying to have it show in the same sort of mundane life what's happening. They're not trying to dramatize it any more than it doesn't need to be, but they're also not trying to accentuate it just to make it even more like emotionally gripping for you. So I think that's why it doesn't feel like some other movies, that we feel like basically that they're just going for it. It's like, that's bad. This is sad, isn't it? Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Denny, you crying?
And
you
it
crying?
seems,
Yeah.
I think it also like the characters try to avoid the sadness because they're living in it. Like there's the scene where I think the daughter for some reason the little girl like is crying and the older brother doesn't know what to do. So it starts doing like flips on like a monkey bar sort of thing to entertain her. So he's not like, it doesn't overwhelm you in sappy sadness. He's like trying to distract himself from what's going on and trying to distract her from it. And it ends up being like kind of a sweet little moment there instead of like a overly depressing moment, which it could have easily been,
which is,
I think.
Kind of makes it more depressing though, because you know what they're doing.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? Like they're trying to let...
It makes me think about it more because you don't see this
They're only
type of
distracting
shit.
themselves. As the audience, we're still seeing them like completely shitty.
Yeah.
Things crying because her stomach hurts because she's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. Again, it's a tough one to watch for an anime.
For sure. Not what you expect typically when it comes to animated shit. But
no.
Yeah,
Not
I mean, I would
Saturday morning easygoing cartoon here.
Yeah.
No.
There's not a ton more to say about it, I don't think. But I would recommend it to people if, I don't know. This is like one of the notches in the belts ones. It's like this is you're gonna dislike the viewing experience, but you're gonna be glad you watched it if you like this type of movie.
We've certainly run the gamut on these animes.
Yep.
The most anime I'll ever probably watch. And I've seen it all now, right? You've seen all the weird, fantastical stuff, and now we got the depression. I'm still a Totoro fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this film screened with, usually it was like a double feature of this and then
Can you
Totoro.
imagine?
In fact, yeah.
First of all, watching two movies back to back, that's a long time in the theater.
It is.
And then watching Totoro, which is super uplifting, and followed by this, which is one of the most depressing movies
which
ever.
one came first?
Totoro.
What do we know? Is Totoro always went first?
So you end with this one?
that was
I would have rather ended with the other one.
People left during this one. Obviously.
I can't see why.
Because the kids were like, what the hell is this?
It was marketed towards kids too.
Right. Oh, dear God. Yeah. I would have pulled the kids out.
Look, kids, this is what happens when you get rationed rice.
You fucking die.
Don't you ever forget. Yeah. I don't know.
So I don't know. John, you sound like you're more on my page, and then we can go to TC's other end of the spectrum there.
Yeah, no,
I'm
was
not that
like,
far
I
off.
was just like, I think this movie is probably me just generally crying throughout the whole damn thing.
Nice.
Lots of tissues.
I didn't go
Lots of
nuts. I didn't
tissues.
go with the sobbing because I think it was just sort of happening through the whole
Gently
thing.
weeping the whole time.
Yes.
This is your first time seeing it, John, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
I have not really wanted to see this film, having heard about it. So
So you knew about it already.
Yeah,
but you weren't.
I think what they do really well is the little girl, the way she talks and reacts to her situation seems very real.
Did you watch subtitled?
No, I didn't actually. Unfortunately, the dub
dub.
was really good.
I've seen both. They're
just-
both really good. Yeah.
I rented it, and it just said dub only. I ended up renting the dub one, and I didn't have a choice, and then I'd already rented it, and it's like, we'll see if it's bad, and it wasn't.
wasn't. Yeah.
No, the dub was really good, I thought, but the way she reacts or just demands things in a little girl way, like I'm hungry or I have to pee or whatever, the way she's just brings that stuff up seems very real, and they portray that really disturbingly in a realistic way that's very awful to, I don't know. It's just hard to watch. And then of course I have the little girl, so I think about if it was my kids, or I can't even imagine. And how the amazing quality, and they portray it well, again, the quality of the brother about how he's frustrated with her, but really trying to help. And that's really pretty amazing. They do that really well. They don't make him out to be some kind of hero either, but and he makes bad decisions, and he's just a kid. He doesn't know how to do things. He doesn't know how to work the black market, so he doesn't know how to like get food, even if he has money and all of that stuff. So they sort of portray that really well, I thought. And yeah, they do the quiet moments of them having fun and enjoying life despite all of this. That also is some really, really well done in the movie, when they're, getting to be all by themselves in their own little cave for a while, and how that's pretty cool at first.
Those Fireflies died really quickly, huh? There's like one day and then they're all dead.
Fireflies don't live long, I don't think.
They live more than a day, don't they? I don't know.
I don't think they live
They collected a lot of them.
They
Tell you
did.
that much. Fucking dumbass fireflies.
Oh, really?
They really got caught.
They got a bucket of them, yeah.
Oh, they
I was like,
can live.
Jesus.
Actually, just wiki firefly.org.
Oh,
I
thank
believe
God
it.
for that.
It's got to be a real
Yeah.
website.
They say approximately 1 to 2 years. So actually, they live a lot longer than I thought. Maybe
so these
they were like
motherfuckers are dying because of the,
they were
the cave.
starving or
Suffocating in the
something.
bomb
Yeah,
shelter.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Um, But
well, I mean, it
anyway,
works
so-
for the story.
Yeah, I thought sometimes the audio mix with the way the music would come in or out was a little jarring. It
Like
seemed
the
a
music
little
was mixed
sudden.
too loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just sort of like all of a sudden, brong, kind of. It wasn't meant to be that loud. I don't think. I think it just wasn't mixed well. So the way the audio would sometimes come at you was a little jarring. But I think the other thing this film does really well is showing the impact of poverty and him stealing and him becoming a thief and how natural it all seems. I think that's also just really. I know other films maybe try to do this, but just showing that progression of how he's just becoming kind of basically somebody who lives on the street and will, beg or steal or whatever he can do. And it just seems to naturally happen. And you don't feel like he's being a bad person for doing it. And you sort of understand where he's coming from. And so that also is something the movie does really well, I thought. But yeah, dealing with like grief and trying to deny your feelings, like you said, Denny, they show that really well. Yeah, just a really sad movie. But I think it's really worth watching, knowing that it's probably going to make you sad. It's definitely, I don't know. I mean, I think of these sort of sad films. Like this seems like this is a story that's really worth telling and worth listening to. And it's not just about, oh, this is a sad thing that's going to upset you emotionally. You get to understand what these people went through. And you get to sort of have a sense of an experience of what it's like. And that seems really valuable. And that this was a pretty common pattern, not necessarily you go live out by the river in a cave, but that your parents are dead. The war orphans happens a lot in Japan, and I'm sure in many, many other places when you have these kinds of wars. And so it was really common that you'd have these war orphans and that they would have to deal with life however they could. So, yeah.
Yeah.
As always, John, well put.
Yes, agreed.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So,
If you got sand in your eyes, it's a good one to watch because it'll wash them right out.
There
It's
you go,
just-
Danny.
Yeah.
I seriously, I think that's like the longest stretch of me just sort of like.
Were you crying
it's
for
like-
the hour and a half, the entire
And
thing?
you know how it's like having a maintenance buzz or something. It's like a maintenance cry.
It's like, I'm due for my biannual checkup. Gonna have to drain the head water.
Right.
here.
It was just I don't think that's also very unusual. You have a movie that kind of builds up to a cry or something.
Wait, so
But
were you
this-
honestly crying for the entire run length of this movie?
Pretty much.
How many tissues did you go through?
It was just a very sort of mild, like just kind of it wasn't like bawling or anything. Like I said, it was just kind of they had a low level there. Just
When they cried, did you cry every time?
No, it was just
He was already crying.
just there.
Oh, he
I
was already there.
See,
Oh.
but sort of just.
So it wasn't
mild.
like
was
there
just
were more floodgates when they had
No,
floodgates.
no, it
Oh,
was
okay.
just-
An even
just,
steady cry.
just like a steady
Just like a little
maintenance cry throughout the
Creek
whole
of
thing.
tears. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I've never done
That's
that.
crazy.
That's,
I've
Yeah.
never either. I think
He's
I think
cried
it just
himself out for the month.
starts with the little girl, and it's just she's there throughout the whole film, and it's just
Yeah.
it's tough.
I mean, like I said, aw a lot.
Yeah.
Aw. Aw.
like you
Aw.
dropped your ice cream.
Yeah, like, aw. Poor thing.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a sad one. It's a tearjerker, guys.
it's TC, the impenetrable asshole over here.
Yeah.
Never
That's
sheds
right.
a tear for anybody, no matter what.
Oh my God, it hurt every part of my body. I was just crying or sobbing.
Oh.
No, I wasn't that upset. I was,
It's okay.
I
That's
mean,
right.
it's sad.
It's
sad.
kicking puppies, is what it is.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's not something you'd want to watch. I mean, I think I agree with John, though. It is a story that's worth watching. I mean, it's no 800. But,
I mean, because there were so many more of them dying. See,
yeah, right. You can let them
Automatically
die.
sadder
Oh,
there.
fuck
The
it.
number's
1,
higher.
2, 30.
Yeah.
Who cares? Right.
Right.
I didn't dislike it though. I mean, like I said, it's like going to get a pizza, seeing it. It's like Costco pizza, See it, looks
God.
good. You eat it. Not so good.
That's on the
you
box
know?
art now.
Yeah.
Grab
Yeah.
a
that's
Fireflies.
right.
It's like
It's like
Costco
Costco
pizza.
It's like
Pizza.
Costco
Right.
pizza.
Yeah. It's
That's just
cheap.
gonna
looks
cause a
good,
whole lot of
doesn't really
confusion.
taste good.
Hey, Costco's great pizza. It's fine.
Yeah, you weep slowly when you eat it.
That's right.
So-
you're not like, You're like,
Yeah, you're like, why did I spend my money on this? So, like I said, we have run the gamut now. So that's cool.
That's true.
I have seen so many animes that not so many, but so many anime from the Ghibli.
We still got one more.
One
At least
more.
right?
The
One
animes
more.
How is
to
that
end
one?
all
Is this one-
animes.
Is this one fantastical again?
It's
'Cause I kinda like-
fantastical.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's more.
okay.
It's Miyazaki.
It is the
again,
best of the
so.
fantasticals, according to most people.
Okay. See, these are a little bit more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, knowing that it's a true story, that definitely gives it a little bit more merit. It's
Not
it's hard
100%
to,
true, right, John?
but
Because
near enough.
the guy who plays the older brother
Well,
is
he
alive
survives.
to write it. So
Right.
his
So
little
there's that.
He doesn't
sister
die.
dies though.
right.
His
right.
little
But still, that's
sister
sad.
died of malnutrition, and his parents died in the war, and they had to go live with relatives. So there's certainly
Sadness.
Pretty
there.
close.
His little sister was 18 months old, not 6 or so, like the girl here,
Jesus.
or 4. I think she's 4 in the movie.
But I mean, it makes the story a little bit more like, okay, because you can see why they wrote it. They're like, this would be such a random story to
Yeah.
just like make into an anime without having some sort of background. So
Right,
it
yeah.
does make it a little bit more.
This movie would have been unmakeable
You know.
if it was just a baby dying. Like, at least the little girl's cute and like part of the movie's cute.
Well,
but if it was just a baby that like slowly died,
It would
oh
have
my
been,
god,
That would have
rough.
been
That would
terrible.
have been rough. It would have been
Yeah.
rougher, and again, but it also makes it harder because in some ways, because the 4-year-old knows what she's experiencing and talks about it and complains,
Yeah.
and it's just, yeah. I mean, again, those scenes where she's like waking up crying and he's trying to get her to sleep, and
I know, it's
I don't
sad.
know, all of this. I don't know.
John's
I
tearing
wanted
up
to
right
punch
now.
the aunt right in the freaking face. What
Yeah.
an absolute
Yeah,
jerk!
what a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, really. That's the only way. I mean, I have other words for her.
Yeah,
but
so
I'm
do
gonna
I.
save
Jerk.
them.
I wrote, I was like, I
I'm
gotta
just
use
gonna
the
go
word jerk. Jerk
'cause
is
it's
still
2021.
safe. Gotta use
Yeah,
jerk.
2021. You can't say shit. It's jerk. It's a jerk store. She's in the jerk store, and there's plenty of her. So I don't know. I don't understand why she would be like that. It was like very unimaginable. It makes you want to call up, your grandmother and be like, if I ever have kids, I'm dead, by the way. You kick them out.
Yeah.
I'm going to curse you from above.
It seemed to me
motherfucker.
like maybe their family was more rich than theirs than they were because her kimonos and shit were like worth money and whatnot.
Yeah,
So like
I think they were. Yeah.
that when she was nice to them when she thought their mother like would recover, sort of thing.
Right.
When she
right.
realized that the mother was dead,
That
she was
she
like,
wasn't.
"Oh, these
She was
kids
like,
are
fuck,
worthless."
I got to take
Right.
care of these
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Get out of here.
all they were was a burden. She
Yeah.
had no
Right.
emotion towards them whatsoever. So they were just an annoyance,
And maybe
a
it just
drain
wasn't-
on her family. Like not
It
just
wasn't
an
her
annoyance,
kids.
but right.
The mother
but
wasn't their relative. It was
right.
the husband.
Yeah.
It was the husband's parents, right? That's why she didn't
Or the
care for them.
husband's.
Oh, was it?
sister,
The
or
husband's
was it? I
mother.
forget what it was.
Right?
I
Wasn't
don't
it?
know. Maybe I don't
Because
think I
it didn't
picked up on
seem
that.
like she cared about the mother because the mother died and she just had to take care of their kids. Her kids is how I read it. Or,
That's
like perceived it.
true. But I read it as like,
Like-
I thought it was her sister and she just was a cold jerk.
Oh, like the sister. So it was because it was the aunt. I kept thinking it was the grandmother.
It was the aunt, yeah. But
It
I'm
was
not
the
yeah.
aunt.
Again,
But it
not
could
sure
be
if it's
his
blood or
sister and not her sister, like the husband's sister.
not. Yeah. Could be. Don't know.
That sucks.
Either way, she's
I
a
don't know.
jerk.
Either
Big
way,
old jerk.
she was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like who lets kids walk out of the house? And it's just like, yeah, fuck off. Have
like,
a good
oh,
time.
you got it? You got it?
Yeah,
All
you
right.
got it. All right,
Good
cool,
luck.
cool. Yeah.
What?
See you
No.
later.
Yeah.
Where you going? You guys going down by the bump shot? All right, that's cool. Have a good one. Fuck off. Don't show back up here anytime. Thanks.
I was
I have
curious
to
why
say, the kid
nobody
was
else.
smart.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say why. I was just gonna say why did nobody else like when there were a lot of air raids when they were living in the bomb shelter and nobody went there again.
Yes, because it was the Fireflies were dying. They were like, "There's something wrong with these fucking caves."
There's some
There's,
sulfur
yeah,
gas leak coming out
Yeah,
of it.
there's
It's
like
killing them.
nuclear radiation or something coming out of that fucking thing. Yeah, kid didn't die of malnutrition. Kid died of like radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. I mean, the kid was smart enough to like raid the homes. I thought that was smart. I'm like, good for you, kid. Go steal that shit. No one else is using it. They're about to fucking all die anyway.
Yeah.
Fucking while the thing's on fire, you might as well go salvage whatever's in there. It's,
Those shots
badass.
of like every single person running in one direction and him just sprinting
Yeah.
in the other direction.
In the
were
other?
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they were. They're believable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good visual movie, and John's right. If you like this kind of story, I guess, hey, you should watch it. But all I got.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, John, what do you got
Yeah.
for book corner, John?
Yeah, what's
You
the
read
book
the
for?
short story?
Not a lot, yeah. So the short
Nice.
story, it's actually was a little bit hard to find because it just appeared in like this Japanese. Well, It appeared only in Japanese, and then it was translated into a magazine called Japanese Quarterly by James Abrams. That's hard to find. It was like, so the only English translation was just like in this magazine. So the story was published in 1967, and then it was published in English in 1978. I was able to find it online, but it has like it's this weird copyrighted thing, like some other ProQuest Information and Learning Company 2002 copyright. So you can find it online if you search for it and search for ProQuest. I don't know what the legalities of it are there, but
that's weird. From what I read, it said that this story was pretty widely read in Japan.
Yeah, but
it
not,
just never came
outside,
across.
I guess.
Okay.
The English publication, I don't think was just published separately. It was just published in this other magazine.
Okay.
So the story is quite good. It's harder to read in many ways because it goes into a lot more detail about the illnesses or the things that were afflicting them. Like there's
so harder to read, meaning like more gut wrenching, heart wrenching.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean it's just terrible descriptions of like his diarrhea at the beginning, for example, of how bad it was.
Yeah.
So that it's kind of the writing style is sort of a stream of consciousness style, like kind of like a lot of not a lot of paragraphs, a lot of sentences that are kind of running together, and it's pretty well done. And the translator Abrams said that that's what he was trying to capture because the story itself, which again was widely read, won a bunch of awards in Japan, sort of had this kind of stream of consciousness style to it, which is good. It was worth reading. So as I said, the main difference that the film really follows the book, the story rather. It's a short story. It's like a 20-minute read. And the film really follows the book really well. Again, the only major difference being is the little girl in the book is much younger. So it's really more about being in the boy's head and the boy's experiences. You don't, because the girl. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The difference that's not the difference between the book. It's getting confused. It's actually in the book. She's older too. Excuse me. So
it's in reality.
It's in his real life. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry. So, but it still is more in the boy's head. You don't. There are some interactions with the girl, but a lot of the sentences or a lot of the descriptions so on are more from the boy's point of view. So you kind of are like more in the boy's head, which makes sense. I mean, you're thinking more of his thoughts. There's some minimal sections about how he fights, feeling resentful of her. And the movie doesn't show that so much. There's like one line where he's like having a hard time not thinking about how everything would just be easier if she wasn't around. Otherwise, the film really follows the short story pretty much note for note.
Oh, wow.
Again, it's just more awful detail in some ways with the actual short story. If you're interested in following up, it doesn't take long, and if you poke around online, you can find it. But yeah, that's about it.
Sweet. We've actually remade this into live action movies twice since this movie came out.
But both were in Japan, though, right?
They were.
I don't know. Yeah,
they were. I couldn't find them trying to search for them. But one of them apparently takes the perspective of the young cousin, the jerk aunt, her daughter.
Oh yeah,
it's from the perspective of that
in the movie,
person.
you see some signs that she's sympathetic. You know, just very briefly.
So they decided to do that. I wonder. That seems kind of interesting. Maybe a little less sad because you don't see what happens. It's just her thinking about what happens. But one of the things I found, Isao Takahata, the director, kind of pushes away the notion that this is intentionally an anti-war movie. It seems pretty anti-war. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, just because it's about war and it's about how horrible it can be. So, I mean, that seems pretty clear to me that it's an anti-war movie, but no, that's not clear.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even necessarily, I just see it as like the effects of war, any of these tragedies on the people, on the streets. And it could be war. It could be like maybe your neighborhood burns down. It could be any number of things, a number of like large scale. Maybe you have a flood. Maybe you have a hurricane. You could have all kinds of things that would lead people to be in this kind of situation where. So I can sort of see maybe the point that it's not necessarily an anti-war movie, although it's certainly not. It's certainly showing you the impacts, the sort of indirect the impact on the civilian population of the war. And this kind of firebombing, especially.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I thought too, because that's pretty on the nose. Like that's what the movie's about. But the director says that he wanted to portray a failed life due to isolation from society, regardless of war.
Right. And I think that's where, yeah. So like, again, it could just be what happens when you get like disconnected, right? And I think that's, again, a really sort of valuable message. So it doesn't mean like the director's not saying he's pro-war or anything. He's just saying he felt this film had like a broader message than just anti-war.
And it was just the backdrop was World War II?
Yeah, yeah. And it's really, the idea is more about how, because again, it is something that I think is valuable about the film is just how you see him become detached, and then he's stealing, and he's not caring about the other people around him either. He's like laughing as he's like suckers, as he's like stealing
from them.
and you're okay with it. You at least I was. I'm like, yeah,
I was.
I was.
So
yeah.
right,
Like
so
smart kid.
you understand. You can sort of see how you get that way, right? And that's probably a really valuable lesson. Like, is then, well, if you can understand how you go down that path, then you can think about how just about anybody on the streets that you might be, might judge as, oh, well, they didn't work hard enough, or they didn't apply themselves, or they were just too stupid, or whatever. Here's a movie that shows you a path, how somebody might get there, and that it's probably very likely that a lot of people that you see out on the streets or whatever, or living these sort of miserable, failed lives because they were detached. So I don't know. It's
great point. Yeah, similar to
it's just that a lot of these people, they came from somewhere, and oftentimes they have mental illness, oftentimes they have addiction issues, oftentimes there's all kinds of things that lead them to where they are. And it's important to have those stories where we can see it from that perspective, so that we're, it's very easy in our lives when we have jobs, we have roof over our heads, we can just sit there and be judgmental or scared, and also scared of what they might do. So, it's, again,
if we were given, birth to being a crazy, scary homeless person in the entire life story, we would probably feel very much sympathy as well. Because
if you followed them, them from where they came and to where they are, anybody just about, I think you can imagine that.
I think you would. And that is way too much fucking sadness to take on.
I know. That is a lot.
It's
to
enough
absorb,
just to watch in the anime.
But that's what this movie hints at for you, right?
Right.
Requiem for a Dream did this too, right? With the mother on the subway train car.
Yeah. Fuck, that was bad, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard to watch that stuff. It's really hard to think that life is that unfair and that horrible for some people, as much as whatever struggles like we might have in our middle class lives. Have a movie show us how life is just so terribly unfair, and the people that have it so much worse really do have it worse, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's hard. Yes.
But so on that note, I don't think it sounds like we don't have anything else to say about this movie.
This movie, no.
Would you put this in the top 250?
I might, only because it's the saddest anime I've ever seen. And I don't know if that exists in any other space like that, right? Like, I don't think, do you guys know of any other animes that were this depressing?
No, this movie is rated there's a list of the saddest movies ever, and it's like number 7. Just of regular movies, live action movies.
What's number 1?
Of the regular movies?
Where do you get the saddest movies ever list?
That's a good question.
Let me see where I found this.
Saddestmoviesever.com. We should take
just
that.
some blog post.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's like 50,000 lists on the web about this.
Oh, are
saddest,
there?
There's the set. I mean, well, it's just usually or some IMDb user, just random person can make a list, and so you can.
Like a playlist on Spotify or something.
Yeah. A USA Today has a list, for whatever that's worth. The 100 saddest movies of all time, according to USA Today.
And why wouldn't we trust USA Today for ranking the saddest movies ever made?
They got a list.
Current. Yeah.
Do you have a list?
They have a list.
No.
Yeah.
12 Years a Slave is number 1.
That's pretty damn sad.
Terribly sad.
But it's not anime, right? I mean, my only reason for putting it in is because it's anime.
Oh, I don't know about this list anymore now. Already, though, it's like the second is 127 hours. I mean, it's
what?
One guy in his arm. American Beauty's number 4. Okay, this list makes no sense.
American Beauty's not sad. What? The movie's hilarious.
Sorry, USA Today. Sorry, that's just not good.
Daddy has a weird sense of humor.
I don't know where I found this. I was looking through a lot of websites. It could have just been a bullshit list.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the sense that I have never seen an anime like this before, I think I probably would put it in the top 250 because it's unique.
Certainly. John, would you?
Oh yeah, I would.
Nice.
I'd agree with TC, and it's sort of. I think at the time it's interesting. I wonder how common that was. I mean, it's not common now, but even back then, to take animation and make a really sad story using it, I think it works fantastically well. But it's a bit of a daring thing to do to take something that takes such a sad story and do animation, which might be normally associated with more fantastical and kids things and whatnot.
Yeah, and I am not nearly that much of an anime buff to say whether or not it was unique to the time, but at the very least, Ebert said that it was. So if you want to take him at his word, then
there you go.
Then there it is. So the next list movie is The Shining, but we're doing bonus episodes. John's suggestion was the 2020 movie Mandibles, which is a French comedy by Quentin Dupois. It looks pretty good.
funny?
It looks weird and funny.
When simple-minded friends Gene and Manu find a giant fly trapped in the boot of a car, they decide to train it in the hopes of making a ton of cash.
It's a ridiculous synopsis.
Okay. I mean,
train it to do what? I want to watch it to find out.
Look, there's like this puppy dog-sized fly, basically.
Yeah.
Huh. Man.
I mean, I'm down to watch this. It's on.
It's
you can
very
rent it
short, 70 minutes.
70 minutes. So yeah, we'll do that one.
Try
if TC,
let's try it. What the hell?
We might switch it up depending on if TC can remember what it is later on. But yeah, let's put that one on the list.
It's a good.
Think of anything else?
It's doing well on Rotten Tomatoes. So what the hell, huh?
Yeah. So let's watch a comedy about a fly. That sounds nice to me.
It does.
Okay.
It does. It really
Short
does.
comedy.
Short, sweet.
Let's do it.
Low budget. What could go wrong?
Yep.
Agreed. All right.
All
Talk
right.
to you guys next week.
Yep.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Later, guys.
Later.